Hello Tricksters, Miss Elizabeth here. Thank you for joining me on this series of April Fools. We're gonna do a little bit right now to introduce you to the idea of April Fools and let you know possibly where it comes from in history and what my favorite historical pranks are. But mostly it's just gonna be a bunch of how-tos and ideas for pulling April Fool's jokes. So first, where does he come from? Well, no one knows. There is no general consensus where it comes from, but there are a couple ideas. First, there was an ancient Roman holiday called Hilaria. It was a festival where people were having fun, doing pranks, telling jokes, that kind of thing. But it also could have come from King Charles IX of France. In 1564, he changed New Year's Day from Easter to January 1st. Easter is typically in April, and so the people who were still celebrating New Year's in April were called April Fish, and people would pull pranks on them because they weren't smart enough to figure out that this is the new year, starting January 1st. There's also some suggestion that it could come from the Indian celebration of Holi. This is the just generally good-humored celebration of colors where you see people throwing the colored powder and colored water at each other. Now, it's an old wives' tale, but if you pull the prank before noon, the person you're pulling the prank on has to take it in good humor. They have to laugh at it, they have to have fun with it, or they're inviting bad luck. Now, if you're the prankster and you do it after noon, you're the one who is inviting the bad luck. And it's also another old wives' tale that April 1st is a very, very lucky birthday to have, but under no circumstances should that person take up gambling. Now, here are my 5 favorite April Fool's pranks. I'll do them in order by when they happen. So the first one was in 1957, a BBC program called Panorama. This was a very factual, very informative, very trusted program. And they did a little segment, complete with videos and all, of the spaghetti harvest in Switzerland. This showed videos of people pulling the spaghetti from a tree like you would, say, an apple. Now, a lot of people did not understand that this was a prank because they trusted this program so much. But some people even called asking where they could buy these trees. In 1974, in a place called Sitka, Alaska, there is a dormant volcano called Mount Edgecombe. There is also a man there named Porky Picker. He loved to pull pranks. He was known for this around there. And so he waited 3 years to pull off this prank. He had to wait for perfect weather. He called 4 different helicopter pilots to finally find somebody to help him bring hundreds of old tires and oily rags up into Mount Edgecombe, where he lit it all on fire. So people are running around thinking that this dormant volcano is erupting. Luckily, he had warned the FAA and the police, so they both knew it was all a prank. And unfortunately, he forgot the Coast Guard. So the Coast Guard flies up and investigates this, only to find this giant billboard that he had created that said Happy April Fools. Number 3. In 1995, the Irish Times did an article about how Euro Disney was buying the corpse of Vladimir Lenin. Yes, that Vladimir Lenin. And they were going to display it at the parks. They were going to give him the full Disney treatment, and there would be strobe lights, and blaring would be Ronald Reagan's evil empire speech. This is the speech where he introduced the idea of the Russian side of the Cold War was evil and we were the good side, and they were the ones who were instigating it all and we were just defending ourselves. In 1996, Taco Bell took out 7 full-page ads in these famous reputable newspapers like the New York Times that all said Taco Bell had bought the Liberty Bell. They weren't going to take it away or anything, but it would be known as the Taco Liberty Bell. Now, this was taken very, very, very badly. There were thousands of angry calls, and eventually they did have to put out a statement saying, this is a joke. We did not buy the Liberty Bell to help with the country's debt. It was all an April Fool's joke. And lastly, this one you can still find on YouTube if you look for it, but BBC had this program called Miracles of Evolution and Flying Penguins. So this was just a very short film put together by BBC, and it was about the Adelaide penguins who fly every year from Antarctica thousands of miles away to South America, to the rainforest. Now, if you look, it is a very, very cute video, but if you listen really closely and you know anything about Monty Python, you'll notice the narrator is Terry Jones. Monty Python is a British comedy group, and Terry Jones wrote a lot of their stuff. So it's all very funny and taken very lightly. And they told people that don't go looking for these penguins. They're very elusive, very secretive, do not like people. So even if you go looking for them, you will not be able to find them. Thanks. Now it's time for all of our pranks.